Hi guys, so another day at our clubhouse, and today I am reviewing this, the Audi A5 Sportback. So the A5 Sportback today, this is the second generation A5 Sportback, but today this has now become once again a unique product in the market, because right now there's nothing else like it anymore. BMW no longer has the 4 Series Grand Coupe. So the A5 Sportback here is alone in its segment as something of a fastback alternative to the C-Class 3 Series A4 segment. Alright, now this example that you see here in this rather unique district green color, alright, this is the range-topping 2-liter quattro model, 250 horsepower, priced at 370,000+ ringgit. Now your other option is a 190 horsepower 2-liter front-wheel drive model, priced at 350,000 ringgit. And if you ask me, the logical choice would be to go for this one, because it's a relatively small price differential to pay for additional power and additional driven wheels. And let's face it, with an Audi, you don't go wrong specifying more driven wheels than just 2. So without further ado, let's bring you guys on the walk around. Okay, so the A5 Sportback, I think we can say the first generation model, was a very successful product. Okay, based on, of course, the B8 A4. This one is based on the B9 model. Okay, and as you can tell, the profile is immediately similar, although the details, well, are now up to date based on the latest generation Audi styling language. So we'll start from the back, since this is where I'm standing. Now the tail lights, okay, it has that familiar shape. The overall shape is familiar from the predecessor, but this one, the details are further refined. It has a 3-dimensional effect if you look at it from this angle, very sharp. Okay, but the overall design is actually still pretty clean. Okay, and you could come down here, you can see the lower diffuser here, unpainted lower diffuser with trapezoidal exhaust tips, but inside here it hides a smaller exhaust tip lah. Okay, so there's a very discreet quattro badge here that indicates this is the range topping variant. Now these are the wheels. The wheels measure 19 inches, and this design is unique to the range topping model. The front wheel drive model has a different rim and tire combination. Okay, so here's the side profile once again from the right side, and you can see here they have bulged the rear, okay, to give it a more muscular look here from the back. The door handles, now very interesting, the door handles has a pull. It's a pull up action, right, to open and close the doors. 4-door keyless entry, touch type. All right, side mirrors stay folded even though the doors are unlocked, and you can see here this decorative strip that runs from the fender into the door. And you look at this, the bonnet shut line. This is also taken from the A4. Okay, so this is like a clamshell bonnet type, where it's a very clean what you call it? It's in a way, right? Compared to most other cars, right? What it does is that it merges the bonnet shut line into a design line, because most cars they will have here is that this is the bonnet shut line that runs here, and then there will be some design line here. So what they've done is that they made this a clamshell type bonnet, and the bonnet shut line actually comes down here to form part of the car's character line. Very neat execution in the design. And you come to the front here, okay, this being the range topping model, so so it has a more well, it's a sportier front end design. This is this is in the S line trim, I believe. And you can see here these are decorative slats, but they are put here in place as a tribute to the original Audi Sport Quattro. Okay, so the front grille it's a more pronounced trapezoidal design, and you can see here down here at the edge there's a functioning AWD over there, satin chrome finish at the edges, and you've got matrix LED headlamps. Now interestingly, even the lower model also comes standard with matrix LED headlamps. So in terms of features, right, this 370,000 ringgit Quattro model and a 350,000 ringgit front wheel drive model, not significant in terms of differentiation. Okay, so we check out the boot. Okay, and well, typical Audi boot. So you can see here, this is a netted pocket, another netted compartment here. This is another well, cargo net to hold things down. Can open under here. There's a space saver spare tire. Okay, rather big boot space, and you can see this is a solid tonneau cover. And when you close this, okay, so these two pieces, they combine to cover off the luggage area. So we'll check out the rear section of the cabin. We'll start by checking out the folded seats. So it's not a flat floor, it slants, okay, but it's seamless. So when you load bulky items, it's a seamless floor here. All right, and you can see here the seats. Okay, the seat cushion looks like it has very good length, good angle, very promising for thigh support. Now here you've got rear blowers with dedicated temperature 3-zone temperature control, 12-volt socket, and netted pockets here. All right, so let's check out the armrests. Okay, so there's a carpeted tray here as well. And wow, how does this work? So you've got, wow, this feels properly solid, man. Okay, this feels properly solid. It's well, it's not a standard issue Volkswagen Group cup holder, so kudos to Audi for that. And here you've got the Isofix mounts, and you can see this is still painted in the body color. All right, so now where I'm seated, I'm 170 centimeters tall. Good headroom, about 2 fingers of headroom. What's more impressive down here are thigh support, fantastic. So this is obviously designed to carry adults at the back. Okay, good knee room as well. So very, very comfortable place to be in. We shall adjourn to the front. So let you see, here's the door card, and you've got this contrast trim here. Okay, piano black trim, and this satin chrome silver. This is a plastic trim. Not most impressive looking, I would say. Power window switches, door pocket, only this long, and we will come inside. So one more differentiating point with between this and the lower model is that here we get a full digital screen. All right, whereas in the front wheel drive model, it's an analog with a screen in between, so an acceptable differentiation if you ask me. Now and you can see here, this is the overall dashboard layout. Now this trim piece here, this is obviously not the highest grade trim that Audi has to offer, but I believe the local team chose this because it still looks okay, but it helps keep the pricing of the car down, and I'll speak more about that later. Okay, so here we have, this is the climate control zone. All right, typical of Audi, the switch gear are of fabulous quality. All right, and all right, so you have temperature control, fan speed control, AC on off. Okay, here's the blower modes for passenger and driver. Now here's one thing that perhaps is not so pleasant is during midday, these metallic switches, they will glare the eye. They could have, I think for the facelift, they may want to work on the angle of the switches. Now down here, this is the drive select control switch, auto start stop, stability control, and this is the on and off for the screen. All right, engine start stop button. This small section here is rubberized, but then again, at the same time, it's not big enough for me to put a phone in here. So this is a rubberized cup holder as well. All right, open up, this is another little compartment, gear lever. All right, this is also another oddly sized slot here, which I'm not sure what you can put in here. And here, this section here, this is a rather nicely sized area, even though it's shallow, but because it's sort of like semi-exposed, right? So you can like put a big bulky bag here, all right, and it will fit in there, no problem. Okay, here's the glove box. This is a dummy, all right, dummy vent. Okay, so it sort of like gives the aircon vents a sort of like a unified look, but I don't know, I would have preferred a smooth surface here, to be frank. Now here we come to this is the screen. Now the screen itself, all right, in terms of the graphics, the smoothness is good, but I would say that I can't, so far I've been fiddling with it, I can't seem to find, you know, any sort of like a status display screen. So, you know, it's like there's no function here for me to show what is the status of the all-wheel drive, what is my fuel consumption status, or all right. So like you see now, I press efficiency assist. All right, yeah, I can have intelligent coasting, predictive messages, economy tips. I can switch this on or off, but that's it. There's no status screen here to show that, you know, how's my driving been, and you know, or rather they could have put a screen here to show me the all-wheel drive system in action. Nothing. And of course, the other comment concerns rather the placement of this screen. So this is not a retractable screen, it's a fixed screen, but the execution of it, right, it's jarring. It does not look like a unified part of the cabin. It looks more like, okay, they designed this clean dashboard layout and suddenly couldn't figure out where to put the screen. So I think this, I mean, in terms of its placement, yes, it's nicely within easy reach, and Audi made the conscious decision to do away with the rotary knob to make it, you know, a more involving touchscreen experience. But the placement of this screen, the way this screen is put there, it doesn't blend well with the overall design of the car, of the dash. But that aside, quality as always fantastic from Audi, and superb build, very solid, very technical. It feels like a typical Audi cabin, but modernized for the tastes of this decade.
Save about 500 bucks.
You save about 1,000 plus.
To work out cheaper for me.
3,000, 4,000.
215, even more.
It's for 200 plus. 400 bucks of savings. Okay, so mechanically the A5 Sportback here well, it's based on the A4 in terms of its platform and also engine and drivetrain configuration. 250 horsepower, this puts it in the same performance bracket as the Mercedes C300 or the BMW 330i, 430i, that, you know, that sphere. And well, where it differentiates from its rivals, of course, is that it has a 7-speed dual clutch transmission that is connected to quattro all-wheel drive. Now, of course, in the interest of fuel savings, the all-wheel drive system operates on an on-demand basis. So in regular driving, it pretty much behaves like a front-wheel drive. But of course, if you were to engage this in dynamic driving mode, then it becomes a permanent 4-wheel drive setup. All right, now suspension. This car comes with what Audi calls a sports suspension, but it's a passive setup, so it's not adaptive, it's not adjustable. When you switch between the driving modes, the suspension remains the same, the behavior of the suspension remains the same. And I have to say, this is actually one of the strong points of the car, because, you know, firstly, it is superbly comfortable for a sports suspension. If you drive this back to back against the BMW 3 Series, this is almost magic carpet in comparison, and loses very little in terms of its directional stability. This is still, you know, a very it's still a dynamically capable setup, and this is something I really have to praise Audi for, because this day and age, you know, with all this adaptive suspension, air suspension, when suspension behavior can be adjusted by a few lines of codes in the laptop, it is heartening to come across a car, you know, with what feels like a properly tuned mechanical suspension. Allow me to explain. So the ride, you know, it has, yes, there is a certain firmness to the ride, but it is still ultimately plush. You know, you can drive this over rough surfaces and not be rocked by the experience. Yet at the same time, when you try to string it, you know, around some bends, you know, the chassis actually manages the weight transfer, you know, rather assuringly. So this is a setup that allows you to use it, you know, on a day-to-day basis, and yet have a good deal of fun in, you know, in your weekend drives, in your Sunday morning weekend drives. It's a very, very well calibrated setup, you know, something that is very rare today, this day and age. Now, the engine, performance wise, well, it's all right, but definitely not the highlight. All right, especially if you drive this back to back against the BMW 30i engine, this one, it doesn't pull with the same kind of tenacity, with the same kind of conviction. You know, firstly, when you step on it, all right, let's say like for, you know, now when you are ambling along and suddenly you spot a gap, you want to gun and overtake, there is still that need to build up before you get that boost. And I thought this is the kind of behavior you get from turbocharged engines 5 years ago, not today. So even you take into account that for turbocharged engines, you have to forgive it for a certain degree of lag. I have to say, there is still room for improvement with this one. Okay, the 7-speed dual clutch transmission, well, it's a smooth operator, all right, and it shows that, you know, the Volkswagen Group in general is one of the most experienced purveyors of DCT technology, because it shifts, you know, the upshifts and downshifts are quick, and, you know, in regular drive mode feels almost imperceptible. It has the smoothness that almost rivals that of a torque converter automatic. You know, even in stop-go traffic, it does not have much of the typical, you know, jerky and vibrating sensations that poorly tuned DCTs tend to give out. So from a mechanical standpoint, this car, the A5 Sportback, it's excellent. Right, the only spot of improvement I would have to say that I can think of is perhaps, you know, a better fine tuning of the throttle response, a more immediate throttle response, and that is something I reckon our good friend Mike Yap from DNA Tuning can easily sort that out for you. All right, now the bigger debate of this car is perhaps for the price point, the kit count really is not that impressive. All right, as the absence of ADAS is particularly glaring, and the thing is, you see, the thing is that I'm a little conflicted by it, because at a personal level, I absolutely don't care. I don't care for it, but I know for a fact that as I publish this video, even if I don't mention it, out of 10 people who comment, 4 of you guys will probably say at 350,000 ringgit, no auto braking, no adaptive cruise control, all these yada 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 things. All right, and that is fair. But you know, that being said, you have to, if you look at it this way, a locally assembled C300, it's about 300,000 ringgit. The 3 Series is about 280, 290, when the first batch CBU 330i was going for 320,000 ringgit. So the A5 Sportback, which technically is a higher segment product, in the 350, 370 price bracket, that small jump from the 3 Series and the C Class, it tells you that behind the scenes, the Audi team were doing their utmost best to press the price of this car down, to keep it within touching distance of the Mercedes and BMW offerings, you know, in this segment. Okay, and the result is that things were sacrificed. So there's no ADAS. All right, yeah, and then we can see that the dashboard is the dashboard trim grade is not of the highest, is obviously not of the highest spec on offer. But is that a deal breaker? Well, for some, perhaps, but for me, I really appreciate, you know, the mechanical purity of this car. You know, is something that it means something to me. You know, when I'm pretty sure that if I were to drive the 3 Series, all right, the 320i or the 330i, they are probably faster on a straight line, probably even, you know, more playful on the bends. But the Audi here, all right, it exudes that a sensation of mechanical integrity, of mechanical cohesiveness that is rare to find in an age where, you know, cars are increasingly laden with electric this, electronic that. But here in the A5, there's still a very mechanical feel to the car, and that is something that I really appreciate. You feel that, you know, there were a team of engineers that worked around the clock to polish every final detail of every mechanical component to ensure it all runs together smoothly. So the A5 Sportback, if you were to look at this car purely as price versus features, difficult to justify, no two ways about it. But if you are looking at it, if you were to look at it, this is a higher segment product, as a one segment up product from a 3 Series or a C Class, all right, then it is a relatively small jump in price, plus the fact that it's a unique design, and I think of greater satisfaction is really how is really how mechanically refined this car is. You know, it's a very, there's a mechanical feel to this car that is just pleasing. You know, when you drive it, when you accelerate, when you take a corner, the way it feeds back sensations to you. Now, I know Audi has not been absolute champs when it comes to driving feedback, but this A5 Sportback here, somehow it has a very nice driving feel to it. All right, and yeah, and it may not be the best deal in town, right? It may not be the most worthwhile purchase in the segment, but this is definitely one of the most pleasant cars I've driven in a long time.